So I'm Hope. I'm new to Friendly Tech Space, so it's really good to meet all you guys. In this talk, I want to sort of address how best practices differ in grassroots data science from business-centric data science in my experiences in the projects that Tanya mentioned. Also, thank you, Tanya, for organizing this. It's really cool.
And for hosting, and yes, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. This is really cool. Yeah. I feel like my coworkers are like not super into coding jokes, and so to be able to like talk about them on Slack is awesome. Yeah, so a little about me. When I was 16 years old, someone said, if you become a biostatistician, you'll be employable. Like, despite not enjoying math and not ever having coded, I put all of my eggs in that basket. So I went to Macalester College in St. Paul, and I studied statistics and economics. In, July of 2016, I was living in St. Paul and doing research, and Philando Castile was murdered by a police officer pretty close to my house. So I got involved in some activism in my neighborhood, and once the protest sort of died down, I tried to figure out how to engage with my data science practice to involve police accountability. And I'm going to be talking in this chat about some of those projects. I moved to Boston in September to start my first job. I'm a junior data scientist. And Mathematica, like I said, I mostly work in like R, Python, on AWS to study health policy, like research questions funded by the federal government with lots of data. So about accountable policing. Just some background on the projects that I'm going to address. People complain about the police a lot. And sometimes these data points are elevated into official data prints, I would say. These data sets are called they're organized by civilian complaint review boards. The data is characterized in each row represents an individual who has complained about a police officer. So there is an individual's name, a police officer's name, and then any sort of disciplinary action that the CCRB has decided should be taken against that police officer. These data sets are required by law to be publicly available. And this most recent project that I've worked on surrounding accountable policing lives in PDF. There's like a text tab, but it's not great. And so in April of this year, a data set was made public, which was a pretty big deal in my mind because it concerns the New York City Police Department, which is enormous, and it spans from the year 2011 to 2016. And so it was some pretty rich information, but again, was stuck in these PDFs which was not really machine readable, was not, really standardized. And so I, thought that it would be cool to get all of these PDFs into some type of, accessible online database where an individual could, so say you're an individual and you are on the street in New York City and you got kicked by a police officer. You would want to file a complaint, imaginably. And with this database, you could, look up the name of the police officer and understand whether or not, 20 other people had the same exact complaint. With that information, you could go to court and have potentially better standing. So that's sort of my ideal for this project. So far, what I've done is I've cleaned the data, everything that's in the PDF. I've done a little bit of exploratory visualization, and I've done some little regressions, which is to say, count regressions looking at Poisson and negative binomial models. I think it would be really cool to do network analysis in this realm, but I haven't gotten there yet. So that's where I'm at. And I've learned a lot of things along the way. And so those lessons are what I want to share with you guys. And these are the things that I believe differentiate sort of grassroots data science from business data science. So the first is partnerships. These are little drawings I made today. So I went into
the data science.
Kidding. This is the United States of America. And I don't know that much about the context of policing, even though I want to know. There's individuals who know far more and have been working in this domain area for a lot longer than I have. And so I understood quickly that relying on journalists and lawyers and activists to get the context of the data was going to speed up my process of cleaning and visualization and modeling a lot. And so all of these great people helped me out. And that, yeah, I think, as tech folks, we're like, okay, I even in my own job am sometimes like, wow, researchers don't know anything. Like, they don't know GitHub. But it's like, you have to respect the domain area of these people, especially in my case. I learned so much from people who don't know a thing about coding. And so that's sort of my humility as a, junior data scientist. So those are what I would call partners. And so there's a lot of trust that has to flow back and forth in this process. These people are entrusting me by telling me about their work, and I'm entrusting them by telling them about my work. I learned about a month into my project that if I made it public at the stage where I was at, I would probably be sued by the New York City Police Department, which has very, very strong police unions. And I trusted that information, and I'm very glad that I did, because I think it's true. And another part, this sort of lower level, the data, is that, I think, as someone who works with data every day, it's easy to lose track of what each row means in a data set. In my case, each row means a police officer's reputation on the line, and it also means an individual's sort of trust of public officials on the line if they have been wronged. And so I think just, the ability to step back from the ones and zeros and think about what this data actually means is something that I struggle with for sure, but it feels really important to, to consider. So that's that. And then patience with the process. It is very slow, and that frustrates me. Someone told me that what I want to do with my accountable policing project will take 5 years. And I said, I don't have 5 years. This is very urgent in my mind. But, at Mathematica, in my day-to-day job, the pipeline is like a researcher and statistician gives me specs, and then I code, and that's it. It's over. Usually it doesn't take that long, hopefully. But with this type of project, it's like I'm writing myself specs and asking a lot of questions of these partners and asking questions of the people who represent the data. I have to re-clean the data once I have this information from these people-informed code books. So it's a very iterative process, and I think all data science is and should be, but this type of data science is extremely iterative, and it makes it slower. So I have to, accept that. So I've learned about tooling a lot in this accountable policing project too. Tooling is fun. Who uses GitHub? Yeah. Who knows about optimal character recognition, or OCR? Cool. Does anyone have stuff about OCR on GitHub? No. Okay, so kind of does. Cool. Okay, so what I learned about in my PDF to data process is that OCR is a thing that exists in the world. I just didn't know that before going into this project. And what I did know is that someone else cleaned the data that I cleaned. They published their results, but they did not publish the means in which they cleaned the data. To me, that was infuriating. I was like, wow, I'm spending 2 weeks on this task that could be done in 1 minute if you had just published your code to GitHub. And so, I trust that we all here believe in the value of open source code, with grassroots data science, it's extremely important. I think even if you feel like your analysis is the coolest thing, it's like, and you want to keep it private, like please don't, because for me, like I like it was kind of nice to learn about OCR, but I didn't really want to. And then the second point is that sometimes time is of essence. So we saw like when Trump became president, like a bunch of data sets just disappeared. And like I said before, the New York City Police Department shielded this data for a long time. And I don't trust them to keep it available if they don't need to. And so it could be gone at any second, and that makes time a really important element in this work. And then a final note on presentation of results. So I think Lena spoke well to sort of magical realism in the realms of AI, ML, and big data. So like the public's perception of how these things work often does not align with the technical implementation of them. And I see that as a huge problem and sort of live by the motto that fancy doesn't always equal good. I think it's our job as data scientists and statisticians and data people to make very, very clear like what we are doing and what our results do and don't say. So, yeah, I think like in my analysis, I have tried to keep it as simple as possible for a number of reasons. One is transparency, so saying like this is exactly, like I said, this is exactly what I can say with these results, and this, these are the limitations. And then simplicity, cool charts are really fun to look at, but oftentimes they don't communicate things super clearly. I make charts every day, and I still have trouble with like multi-dimensional bubble shape color things. So I would say like a simple bar chart can often do the job, especially in grassroots data science when your audience isn't always, us. And then accessibility is a big deal too. So, putting something as simple as putting the name of a color next to a color will help an audience with potentially, color-impeded people, or, just like knowing your audience and understanding that there could be diversity in there that you're not aware of is a good step. So, to finish out, this project is moving to Los Angeles for a number of reasons. I'm not physically moving there, but the focus is shifting from New York City to Los Angeles. So that's sort of exciting.
Awesome. Congrats.
Yep. And if you want to look at the rest of the work, you can look at the repo. This is online and accessible. If you want to help, please let me know. I would love any and all help. And yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for listening.